Vern, I was just talking to William Forrest. He showed me a model of the project he hoped to build on Susan's property that he kept in hopes you would sell the house to him.
William did make me an offer to buy the place when Susan was declared dead, but after thinking it over, I knew that selling it to the library is what she really would have wanted.
About the treasure Susan mentioned, Morris suggested that by treasure she meant the value of the property.
Maybe, I'm not really sure. The property certainly is valuable, but so are the materials used in the house. It dates back to the early 19th century.
That's very impressive. How did you learn this?
I think it was in one of the letters I received about Susan's house recently. I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
This letter was from Chris Lamar. Is he the one who told you about the value of the building materials?
Yes. He approached me about buying the property, or at least the rights to deconstruct the house and remove anything that could be reused.
With so much interest in Susan's house, I'd better check it first thing in the morning to make sure nothing has been disturbed. That's odd. The front door was unlocked. It's not like the sheriff to leave a crime scene unsecured. I'd best call him. I think someone else may have been here last night. What do you see, Sheriff?
There's some fresh damage here by the fireplace, like someone hastily used some tools to remove something.
There's only one person I know with an interest in getting as much out of this house as possible before it's demolished. Chris Lamar.
Let's head over to the antique shop now.
What brings you two back?
How long have you been plundering items out of Susan's empty house?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Susan's collection of antique crystal is missing. And those tiles you have here, they're identical to the ones missing from around Susan's fireplace.
All right, you win. I've been taking stuff out of the house and selling it to keep the shop afloat. No one's lived there for 2 years now. Why should valuable materials just sit there to rot?
Is that how you came by the candlestick you sold to William Forrest?
No, I found the bill of sale from when I purchased the set a year ago.
According to the document, you bought the candlesticks from Morris Niederhammer, along with several other items.
Do you still have the other candlestick from the set?
I don't remember selling it to anyone, so it must be around here somewhere.
We'll need to take that candlestick for our investigation, Mr. Lamar.
Go ahead.
I have a feeling that either this candlestick or the one William had may be the weapon used to murder Susan.
I'll bring both down to the station to have them check for traces.
Once we know for sure, I promise to let Vern know. Vern, Do you have a moment?
I'm sorry, Jessica, but Jack Delgado has an emergency on his hands and needs all the saws I can pull together. Something about some trees down by the school?
Let me lend you a hand with that. We have news, Vern. We found the murder weapon that killed your sister.
You have? What was it?
This antique silver candlestick we found for sale in Chris Lamar's shop. There was a trace of Susan's blood on the base.
How about fingerprints?
The candlestick has been handled so many times by Chris and customers examining it that it was impossible to tell if it ever had the murderer's fingerprints on it.
Hold on. Do you still have that candlestick?
Sure.
There's a tricky way to open them up. Supposed to be for easy cleaning. Maybe there's something inside.
Vern, you told me earlier that Susan smoked Westminsters?
That's right.
Then the person who smoked the Ultra Golds is likely her murderer. Morris, excuse me a moment.
Yes, Jessica?
We got a hunch that someone may have hidden Susan's collection of crystal nearby.
What? I don't see how that would be possible. You're welcome to have a look, though.
Morris, I'm afraid we need to talk.
Talk? About what?
About how you killed Susan Gander 2 years ago. The crystal you've hidden here confirms it.
What? I loved her. We were going to be married.
You used one of Susan's candlesticks to bludgeon her to death. The same one you dropped one of your cigarette butts in. Afterwards, you burned Susan's remains. But you didn't think to burn the cigarette butts that proved you were there.
You took both candlesticks away with you and later sold the pair to Chris Lamar. You intended to sell off the crystal too, but never had the chance.
You lied when you said that you left the house after you argued over your engagement, didn't you, Morris?
Yes, I did. You see, I knew that Susan wasn't making up the story about the treasure in her house. We met here, at the library, and she told me all about it. It was worth a fortune. I never had much money my whole life. Anyway, I became close to her and convinced her to marry me. But she never trusted me enough to tell me where the treasure was hidden.
What happened the night of the argument?
I'd pressed Susan to tell me the location of the treasure. That was a mistake. It roused her suspicions, and she called off the relationship. She even threatened to go to the police and have me charged with fraud for tricking her into marrying me. I couldn't let her do that.
So you kept her quiet with a candlestick to the head.
I was in such a fury. I didn't know what I was doing. Afterwards, I was horrified at what I'd done. I had to hide her.
Is that when you decided to try and burn her remains?
It seemed like the safest thing to do. And to make it look like she had left town, I collected some of her belongings and threw those into the fire as well. Then I bricked up the fireplace so no one would find out what I had done.
And the treasure, did you ever find it?
No. As far as I know, it's still in that house. Somewhere. But after what I'd done, I never set foot in there again.
Sheriff, I keep thinking about that picture of Susan and the way she's standing. What if she's trying to tell us something? Let's see. In the photograph, Susan is standing approximately here.
She's pointing at the floor, here.
Right. But what if she's trying to indicate an area of bricks in the fireplace, and not something in the foreground?
The mortar has been chipped away on these bricks.
It looks like Susan had her life savings hidden here.
Yeah, and when Morris here burned her body, the heat from the fire must have ignited the bills and burned them right inside the box.
My greed made me do this to Susan because I wanted this treasure. But in doing so, I destroyed it instead.
It sounds like poetic justice, doesn't it?